Hello everyone, this is the Inside Web3 podcast show with Pigman.
Become mainstream and get into retail in the next 12 years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like places like Africa, not just Africa, but South Asia also. South Asia, places like South Asia is they're really going to be beneficiaries of the possibilities, of what stablecoins has to offer to them as individuals and even economies. While we see institutions pushing into the stablecoin, just to keep ahead, like JP Morgan and many of them will be making some news headlines. It tells us one thing that stablecoins is not just a hype; it's the reality of things. And these guys are saying, I can't afford to go obsolete. What's happening because it's really going to push so many things aside. And yes, for those the future belongs to lens. And if you founder, you company owner, I mean, if you don't learn what's happening, you will definitely be left behind, like BlackBerry and so many companies that have gone out of date because they refuse to really learn and push forward with changing with the changing environment around them. So yes, thank you so much, guys. I mean, those insights, from stablecoins, your opinions, and I still have just one topic to hint on. And yes, this is definitely going to be not the last, but it's second to the last. Yes, and it's on CBDC and stablecoins. Yes, believe me, I'm not a fan of CBDC. I'm not a fan of that initiative as a whole. So whichever, but we cannot hide the fact that places like China want to maintain their sovereignty by all means, and they will definitely going to clinch on CBDC no matter what happens. So I don't really know what's happening that side of the world, but we've seen China pushing CBDC like it's their all because they really don't want to have anything to destroy, their control as the cryptocurrency as a threat in a way. But this is my question on trying to have. How are we seeing how are we seeing the relationship between evolving between CBDC, central bank, digital assets and digital currencies and stablecoins? Is it complementary? Are they competing or is it just both? So I'm going to start with Mr. Wills. I mean, what's your take on the evolving relationship between CBDC and stablecoins for you, as in regards to what's happening here in our financial landscape?
I think I commented on this earlier. I'm seriously not a fan of CBDCs. I think it's a tyrannical idea, programmable money from the government. I mean, it gives the government the best way to control people is through money, and this would give the government complete control, basically, of most of the people. Because most people, if you do that to their money, they'll just, in the same way that you pay your taxes, right? I mean, they have a strong control there. So it would just be like, it would be a horrible world. But that's my opinion on CBDC. I'm very anti them. With regard to their relationship between CBDCs and stablecoins, I think you'll see some countries which will just allow stablecoins to do their thing, and I think the US will probably be an example of that because there's a huge opportunity for the US. I think Tether is Tether now the fifth or sixth largest buyer of US Treasury. and the US desperately needs to sell treasuries, right? So Tether's a good client, and it allows the US to have. I think it gives them a second chance to to be the world's dominant currency, which they are. But you got de-dollarization going on all over the place, and I think for the US it's a massive opportunity to get that. So I think the US will just let Tether and Circle and everybody do their thing and try and spread it around the world.
Exactly.
I think Europe will do the complete opposite. And I think they will suffer as a result. But anyway, there you go. I might be wrong. It's not my specialist topic.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. Like your opinion on Europe. I've seen some posts. Some people give their opinions and giving a thumbs down. What how Euro has been advancing towards stable coins. Like it's not the way it's supposed to go. Anyways, I'm not also an expert, and I get that the person who can actually hit on this very well is Mr. Sebastiaan, who says in Europe. So, Mr. Sebastiaan, what's your opinion on CBDC and stablecoin, especially in Europe, and with what Mika is doing? Because, yeah.
Well, on CBDCs in general, I 100% agree with Will. It's here. It's Friday afternoon, and on Friday afternoon, I want to grab a beer. I do that since forever, and it would mean that essentially that somebody could say I could not buy a beer. So by default, I'm against it. It's very simple. And in Europe, it remains to be seen. But I think in general, and that sounds a bit strange maybe for people that are in Africa, but Europe is doing fine. We'll see where everything goes, but at the moment, especially Northern Europe is one of the most developed and wealthiest countries in the world, and it's just different. So I think we'll be fine for a while. Let's see how all this plays out, and dollars and euros, etc. But MiCA and those kind of regulations don't necessarily help, because we really feel that in Europe, in terms of crypto projects and innovation, we feel like we're being held back. It's just difficult. So yeah, the US doesn't have that or has that problem, but less now. We'll see. Yeah. Europe has to change a little bit with how regulated they are with everything, or create better sandboxes that we can develop in, because otherwise, companies will just move. And that's about most of it I could say about it. I'm a marketing guy, so I look at it from a general perspective.
I totally agree with you. And Mika, I'll be honest, we at Apraemio are also facing some pretty challenges with Mika. I don't want to go deep into that, but Mika has to really, I don't know, but I'm kind of saying Europe should be doing better than this, like the Mika as a whole, because people running to buy right now, and it's becoming a hub. You see the VARA, or what they call it, Dubai's regulations, really opening doors for that particular region becoming a hub. And so Mika should, even when it comes to, because even people don't really look into the euro stable coins, and exactly what Will said when it comes to the US are just allowing, and it's working, because this whole thing all ties down to currency wars. I'll be honest, they know that it's gonna give them a leverage, and people are coming in, and Tether is doing her thing, dominating the market. And Circle is also pushing, dominating all of Europe. I'm being honest, and it's really going to be a very, very competitive that, for me, in my opinion, the US is likely to win, and continue to expand the power of the US dollars through stablecoin. Yeah. So I okay. I still have Mr. Femi. Mr. Femi, your own comment on CBDC and stablecoins. Yes, especially within the landscape. If possible.
Thank you very much, Tuna. So really, really nice to get this question from you. I don't know if there's any Nigerian government official here, but that was the reason why Inara failed. It was a very big failure. because it didn't work out, and it was expected because CBDC is controlled by the governments. Now, CNGN is built by private owners, and it is shown to the public. Although, yeah, you can actually build the public ledger, so it's visible to anyone, anywhere can go track how many CNGN was minted today, right? So right now you can actually go and track how many was minted.
Yeah.
So it is open. It's open. It's actually visible to anyone who wants to view the on-chain transactions on the public ledger. But CBDC for me is a no-no because it is more like the same central bank control currencies. So what's the difference? Literally, it's no difference actually. Yeah. So and it doesn't make any sense. So I don't support it, but I support private stable coins across different countries. So if I want to do transactions to Indian rupees, I can exchange my CNGN to Indian rupees,
Yeah.
and I can exchange Indian rupees to CNGN. So it just like reduces all the barricades and makes all the barriers really cut off, from global trade. So CBDC for me, it's not doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that insight. Everyone is really saying knows the CBDC, and the government knows this for those jurisdictions or part of the world, like you've got China, you've got especially China, especially China. I know of China very well because these guys are in for control, and they push CBDC and all this stuff. But
Wait,
yes,
can you continue the meeting, please? Oh, sorry.
hey, I get your mic. You meet your mic a little bit. So CBDC stable coins for me and for everyone who is totally for stable coins. We are all agreeing that we're definitely going to see the success of stable coin, especially with the US Genius Act and Trump coming into power and giving crypto this, especially in America, this whole Britain space, and people are beginning to talk about Bitcoin, crypto, USDT. The administration of Donald Trump, in fact, has really paved way for this narrative to come this far. So whether we like it or not, it's just true. And America, for me, is leading this charge of stablecoin. That is the truth. That is the truth. America is leading this charge, and they're doing it in a very radical manner. Very radical manner. Very radical manner. You see what's happening next. You see updates. You see tweets. You see they're doing it in a very, very radical manner. And it's important for government to begin to key into the narrative of stablecoin and to see how they also can have a place in the market. Very, very important. Very, very important. The government always like to do things for themselves these days. So I'm not surprised, but for governments who are out there for the people, they see the possibilities of this whole narrative changing their lives and also their economy also. So yes, we said a lot on stable coins, and um, trying to round off this show for this episode. I mean for today. So I guess my last question will be on Apraemio. Yes, get some opinions from our guests who have come here to hang out with us on this hangout and here on Apraemio, and we will also like to hear their own thoughts and opinion. I mean. On what Apraemio is doing. But before we start, before we start giving our opinions, I also want to let you guys know that the marketing specialist at Apraemio, I'm gonna send her your emails. She has requested that I send your emails. So she would like to cover write some articles on what you guys are doing. And also as we normally do with our guest speakers, we send them emails, from and so we could publicize, and share their story on our handles, and even see how their own thoughts and take on what Apraemio is doing, in a more comprehensive manner. So after the show, definitely you receive those emails next week Monday, not this week, next week Monday. So I really appreciate if you guys respond to her, and we'll answer just 2 or 3 questions that she'll be asking by email at your leisure, and definitely we will push out those thoughts and opinions of yours, and also about the project, even on our handles and on our articles. It's really going to be nice. So yes, moving forward, I'm going to start with Wales as usual, and it's just a little final takeaway, your opinion on what Apraemio is building, and your one piece of advice we think. Yes, Apraemio is here to redefine gold mining, similar to Jade City. I've said it. We're kind of an ally with what Jade City is doing. We're all in the traditional mining sector, bringing in Web3 innovation, blockchain innovation, particularly in the gold industry. So beyond that, Apraemio is also in a way coming in to offer utility, because in our roadmap, white paper, there are some things we work in the background. We keep building because we have to bring out the gold out, which will definitely go into which is definitely going to be part of the ecosystem power, and also be this floor floor price when it comes to the Apple token. So in your opinion, your opinion on what's happening here in Apraemio, on your one piece of advice you can give to the team at Apraemio. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in a position to give it, but I mean, look, gold is something I know a lot about. I built 3 gold mines, with my team. So I know the physical side of producing gold. I know back to front. It's I massively believe in gold, and I think we've seen obviously the gold price perform super well at the moment. So yeah, I mean, what I was just in terms of advice, when it comes to gold and gold mining and that whole side of things, it's just it's almost hard to give advice. It's a complicated industry. Every gold mine is totally different. So I wouldn't, without being at the mine, I don't feel I can really give I don't think I can give the advice without being at the mine.
I don't know, even if it's in relating to even if it's in relation to what Jade City is doing, because you guys are, for us, like, I think we've learned a lot from a number of things from Jade City. I mean, the way you're trying to blend in the Web3 innovation. So
Yeah.
side.
Well, I think probably if I was to say a single thing, it would just be like, the so real world assets. When you say real world assets, in the real world they just call them assets. So and people are used to buying equities where the real asset is essentially there. Whether it's the IP or the gold or the mine or whatever, the equipment is there, creating real value for the shareholders if they're doing well. And I think what the blockchain world has been missing is just so many tokens where the value being generated by the project is not actually giving value to the token holders. It might be giving value to the equity holders or to some person, but not to the token holders. So, Apraemio is about gold and real world assets. And my advice would be just to make sure that the value that is actually generated from the real world assets is for the token holders, if they're the ones funding the business, or that value is funneled through to them, so that the token has a long life in the way that a business has a long life.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Apraemio definitely is not just funded by the community. It's also funded by institutions, and
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons. I mean, even in collaboration with the Malian government, so the GTS, yes, a number of things. So yeah, but definitely, I agree with what you say. When it comes to this reward asset and on-chain assets, so it's definitely it's not an easy blend, and that is why this sector is where the whole serious work is. You have to be very, very cautious of what's happening on chain and also off chain. You see, like just like you being in Central Asia right now.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I can't even pronounce.
Kazakhstan. Yeah.
Same thing with in, yeah. So it's like I think there is so much work and so much job or to do in the reward asset you know, line trying to blend in. So yeah, thank you so much Wills for that advice, and I believe that
Thank you.
I really going to listen to that so much. So I'll hear from Mr. Sebastian. Then lastly, I'm going to hear from Jade of Lagos.
Yeah, I would just like to add that I think from what we see, because we look at the RWA space in as a whole, there are a couple of these assets that are simply easier to understand for people, and people know it. So that's why we see a lot of, the stablecoins is one, but also real estate, which is extremely popular, and about every other article and user case about real estate. And gold should be in that mix. I don't know why it is not, because the value of gold is going up, and it's a great narrative. So I think I would say advice or whatever you call it, like how can that train start to move for gold? Because I would buy it, and why don't I yet? It's such an interesting shiny object that yeah, it should be the next big narrative within our space. And in there, I would give an advice to, because we're so early and we're so small, like literally there are only maybe 10 projects that are into gold tokenization, work together, because you can't afford to not do it. And the simple example is like if you go buy furniture somewhere, I don't know how it is in Africa, but in Europe, if you buy furniture, you go to an area and there are, I don't know, 10 different furniture stores. They're all next to each other. That's for a reason. It's because people will make their own choice. So it's not competition. It's just making it easier for people to understand what you are doing. So that's what I would love to see from the gold angle in this RWA space, that these projects come together and do it together, because otherwise it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, sir. Mr. Femi, Mike is yours. Yeah. He's still with us.
He's already grabbing the beer as well. Almost there.
I guess he's now with us. Well, a lot has been said, and even Apraemio was a whole. I'll be honest. At Apraemio, we're still figuring out this whole thing, and because I'll be honest, in a way, we've been battling with Mika, and you know how it is with Mika. They're very strict, and yes, we what the vision is still in mind, the mission, and I want to say this: we don't see ourselves as a typical reward asset project, simply because under the Mika categorizing digital assets, in the Mika and stuff, we didn't really fall into the part based on our vision and mission, because we're trying to create a digital asset that in a way will also be used as a financial instrument, like how other assets are being used, and also be a hedge, like also be this asset at the same time that can in the long run appreciate what gold normally does. If I just and one of the ways I can relate Apraemio and Apple token being a utility, and also having the potential of gold back based on what we're doing in Africa, is relating it to the gold standard, because we've seen how we can even, yes, we've spoken about having credit debit cards, even based off with our partner companies, like exchanging, using Apra to get into real estate, use Apra to get into even the automobile, like Apraemio has an automobile partner there in Europe. And APRA as a whole, we're looking at it not just from the standpoint of being just having the backing of gold, but also being used. Just the way the US dollars, was being backed by gold, and you could exchange your US dollars for gold when the dollar was in the gold standard. And so, yes, just like you said, the space is still new, and every team found out they're still figuring out things, or auditing contracts and updating white papers. And even Apraemio is doing that today. But for all I can say is that Apraemio, as much as Jade City, as much as RWA.io, as much as Vision Africa, are on a journey, and you keep moving forward, and you keep drawing the dots, keep connecting the dots, and keep shaping yourself, at times based on more the circumstance around you. So yes, all these advices, especially working together in the space, it's definitely going to go a long way, because I strongly believe in partnership. I strongly believe in collaboration. It's man's greatest asset in any industry he finds himself in. That is why we network. That is why we connect. And that is why we're having this space here. So, thank you so much for this final thoughts and opinion on Premium. So thank you so much. And yes, we're already rounding up this show. And I just want to before we give some announcement from the Premier Courting. Vino is here from India to share a little update from the Premier Courting. But before that, I'm still going to say shout out to everyone listening. The Premier Diggers are here on the show. We've got Jedi and Jedites also on the show. We've got individuals, community members from Beach in Africa. We've also got community members also from the RWA.io, all here to hear what their leaders are saying about crypto, about Web3, about stable coins. And this is one of the most amazing events the X space. Every month we gather here, and we brainstorm, we share insight, and we learn also, because I've learned a lot from this particular show. The Inside Web3 podcast show is featured here on Apraemio, and even in the future we will have some features on some other communities, and also planning even to scaling and expanding and all this stuff. And I'm happy and I'm grateful to the Apraemio core team for allowing this feature here on the Apraemio Ticket Hangout, and to use it as a medium to educate, and to also teach people out there, bring in industry experts, so we could talk on what matters the most, because there are a lot of noise out there in the space. So thank you so much. Before we head on to the next section, as we round up, if you really want to say anything in the speak section, sorry, in the listener section, you just okay, you just maybe a question, or you have a question, or you have a contribution to make. I think this is the right moment. You can request the mic. I'm definitely going to give you access to speaking, and you could just take 1 to 3 minutes to do what you want to do. But while that will be going on, I will let Vino from Apraemio, moderator from Apraemio, to share some updates from the courting, and so we could round off this space, as we've spent a very good amount of time here. I really, really watch it. So Vino, the mic is yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
More audible.
Hey guys, happy to see you all again. And good evening, leaders. So, on site, I'm excited to share some updates I received from the cookie.